Hello and good morning everyone. For today's lesson, I'm gonna give a short lecture about kinematics. So first, what is kinematics? Kinematics is a branch of mechanics dealing with the study of motion. And what is motion? Motion is something that refers to the change in position with respect to a reference point. And what is a reference point? Reference point is a point in space or object which is assumed as the initial point. In kinematics, there are three branches, which is speed, velocity, and acceleration. What is speed? Speed is the rate of change in motion. What symbol represents speed? It is v. It refers to the distance traveled per unit of time. And the formula is v equals s over t. Next is velocity. Velocity refers to the speed of a body at a given direction. The symbol that represents this is also v, but there's a arrow mark above it because it explains the direction it is going. It refers to displacement per unit of time. The formula is v equals to s over t as well. Next is acceleration. It is the rate of change in velocity. The symbol that represents this is a. It refers to the change in velocity per unit of time. The formula is a equals delta v over t, or a equals v minus v0 over t. And the next, there is average speed and instantaneous speed. Average speed is the total distance traveled over the total time taken. The formula is v average equals to sigma s over sigma t. Sigma is the sum of. And then instantaneous speed, it is something that refers to the speed of a body at a given instant. The formula is v instant equals to delta s over delta t. Now I'm gonna give you guys an example of how to deal with problems with the formula from before. Okay, so the question is, a car travels 120 km due north in 2 hours and 100 km due west in 1.5 hours. The question asks, what is the average speed of the car and what is the average velocity of the car? Okay, so if we want to find the average speed, based on the formula from before, we need to use sigma s over sigma t. There are two s. First is 120 km and the second is 100 km. The first time is 2 hours and the second time is 1.5 hours. So v average equals to s1 plus s2 over t1 plus t2. s1 120, s2 plus 100 over t1 2 plus t2, which is 1.5. So 120 plus 100 is 220, and then 2.2 plus 1.5 is 3.5. 220 over 3.5 is 63 km per hour. We round it up if it's decimal. And then now we're gonna find the average velocity of the car. To find the average velocity, we're gonna find the average velocity of the first car travel and then the second. So first, v1 is equal to s1 over t, which is 120 over 2 hours. It is equal to 60 km per hour due north, since in the question it said it is going to north. And v2 equals to s2 over t2, which is 100 over 1.5. Then it's gonna be equal 67 km per hour west. Now, if you want to find the average velocity of this car, we'll be needing to sum up both of v1 and v2, square it, and then we root it. So v average is equals to root of 60 squared plus 67 squared. So 60 squared plus 67 squared is 8089. Then we root it. It's gonna be 90 km per hour if we round it off. Now the only thing we need to find is the direction it is going. Okay, so I'm gonna give you this illustration right here. If we want to find the direction it is going, we can use between sin, cos, or tan. Sin, soh. So soh is opposite over hypotenuse, we have opposite, but we don't have hypotenuse, so we can't use sin to find the angle. Now, how about cos? It is adjacent over hypotenuse. Can we use it? We have adjacent, but we don't have hypotenuse as well. So the only thing we are left with is tan, toa, opposite over adjacent. So tan theta is equals to opposite, which is 67, over adjacent, which is 60. So 67 over 60. And what we're trying to find right now is only theta, so tan is gonna be switching side. So theta equals tan. Theta is equals to tan up to -1 times 67 over 60, which is gonna be theta equals to 48 degree. Now that we know the degree and also the average velocity, we just need to mash it together. So average velocity is equals to 90 km per hour, 48 degree west of north, since 48 degree is nearer to the north part. So, and then, or we can use average velocity equals to 90 km per hour, 42 degree north of west. So that's it. Now we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is UM, or uniformly accelerated motion. What is UM? UM is something that refers to an acceleration of an object which remains constant irrespective of time. There are three general formulas for UM. The first is V equals V0 plus AT. Second is V squared equals to V0 squared plus 2AS. And then S equals to V0T plus 1 over 2 AT squared. Now we're gonna just jump right into the examples of how to solve problems with these formulas. So the first example, a body started from rest and accelerated by 2.50 meter per second squared. How far does it reach upon having a velocity of 23.5 meter per second? So we have a body started from rest, which means the initial speed is 0 since it rests. And we have acceleration, which is 2.50 meter per second squared. And we have V, which is 23.5 meter per second. The question asks how far does it reach, which means S. It is distance. So we have V, VO, A, and S. What formula can we use? We can use the second formula, which is V squared equals to V0 squared plus 2AS. Now what it asks is for the distance, which is S. So since V0 squared is 0, we can just take it off. So we are left with V squared equals to 2AS. We want to find the S, so 2A is gonna be switching sides. Since it was multiply, it's gonna become divide. Now V squared over 2A. So S equals to V squared over 2A. V squared is 23.5 squared over 2A. 2 times 2.50. The final result is gonna be 110 meter. Now, on to the second example. If a car had an initial speed of 25 meter per second and then it speeds up to 65 meter per second, the final distance it traveled is 240 meter. What is the acceleration of the car? So we have initial speed, which is V0, 25 meter per second, and we have final speed, which is 65 meter per second. Then we have distance as well, which is 240 meter. The question asked for the acceleration of the car. So we have V0, V, A, and S. Seems like we can use the same formula as before, since what given is just the same. So the formula we're going to be using is V squared equals to V0 squared plus 2AS. V is final speed, so 65 squared. V0 squared initial speed 25 squared plus 2A times S 240. So 65 squared is 4225, 25 squared is 625, and then 2a times 240 equals to 480a. So since we want to find the a, 625 is gonna be changing sides, so 4225 minus 625 is gonna be 3600, and then equals to 480a. Okay, now since we want to find a, 480 is gonna be changing sides as well, so 3600 divided by 480, so it's gonna be 7.5 meter per second squared. And now the third and final example. The question is, if a man jogged with a speed of 4 meter per second and then he accelerated by 2 meter per second squared, how long did it take for him to jog 1200 meter? So what we have here is the starting speed 4 meter per second, and then the acceleration speed, which is 2 meter per second squared. The question asks for how long did it take, so the time taken, and then the final distance, which is 1200 meter. So what we have right now is V0, A, S, and T, which is time. What formula can we use? Seems like we can use the third formula, which is S equals to V0t plus 1 over 2 AT squared. S is 1200 plus 4z V0 times t, which is equals to 4t, plus 1 over 2 AT squared, which is 1 over 2, A is 2 meter per second squared, becomes 2t squared. And then next, we're just gonna be changing sides of the 1 over 2, so 2 change sides becomes 2400 equals to 40 plus 2t squared. Now we can simplify this again. It becomes 1200 equals to 2t plus t squared. Now since we have 2t and t squared, we're not gonna be able to use the normal way, so we're gonna be using the quadratic formula. Since we have a and b now, we're just gonna need to switch 1200 to the other side, so we're gonna have c. So it becomes t squared plus 2t minus 1200 equals to 0. Quadratic formula now. Quadratic formula is minus negative b plus minus the root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So negative b, negative 2 plus minus the root of b, 2 squared, minus 4, a is 1, times c, negative 1200 over 2a, which is 2 times 1. So it's gonna be negative 2 plus minus the root of 2 squared, which is 4, minus by 4 times 1 times negative 1200. 4 times 1, 4, 4 times negative 1200, negative 4800. So minus negative 4800 becomes 4 plus 4800 over 2 times 1, 2. So now 4 plus 4800 becomes 4804. The root of 4804 is gonna be decimal, so we're gonna round it up again, becomes 69. So now we have the final result, which is negative 2 plus minus 69 over 2. Now, so we're gonna be finding out which t we can use. So negative 2 plus 69 over 2 is gonna be the first one. Negative 2 plus 69, 67 over 2 is equals to 33.5 seconds. And then the second one, negative 2 minus 69 over 2 equals to negative 71 over 2, which is gonna be negative 35.5 seconds. We're just gonna be using the positive one since there is no way the time taken is gonna be a negative. And that's it for today. That's all for the lecture. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.